If I told you that there's a 90% chance that you ate some form of a GMO at lunch today, you probably wouldn't care and look at me like this. Then continue eating your GMO-contaminated food like this. Oh my gosh, no. Now, most of you may not know what the term GMO means. Don't worry, I didn't either. My brother has always been passionately interested in nutrition and knowing what he was putting into his body. Over time, my mom gained that interest as well. Suddenly, she became the queen of nutrition, literally. She made me feel guilty one Dorito at a time. It was brainwashing at its finest. Okay, but what does GMO even mean? GMO stands for genetically modified organisms, and the main genetically modified crops are corn, soy, cotton, sugar beets, and canola. In a genetically modified organism, a scientist inserts a gene from Bacillus thuringiensis bacteria into the DNA of the crop. The biggest biotech agriculture corporation leading the mass production of GMOs is Monsanto. This is the first thing my mom told me on her journey of trying to bring me into the nutritious world. If this is still all French to you, don't worry about it. It took me a while to wrap my head around it as well. But there's one thing I knew for sure at this point. This isn't normal, and I'm eating it, and it's not good for me. So I probably shouldn't be. Can I cut it all out? I was feeling pretty big at this point. I was like, GMOs? But really, can I? Can I cut 100% of the GMOs out of my diet? Okay, it would be hard trying. For one, corn is not the only genetically modified crop, which is what I thought before, explained my preliminary ego. 92% of corn grown in the United States is genetically modified, as well as 94% of cotton, 90% of canola, 92% of soy, and 95% of sugar beets. There are also 70% of all processed foods that are genetically modified. There are 165 million acres of GMOs in the U.S. and 420 worldwide. So, okay, I have to cut corn, cotton, seed, sugar beets, canola, and soy out of my diet? No. What you really have to do is cut out all non-organic corn, cornmeal, high fructose corn syrup, soy, soy meal, soybean oil, cottonseed, and sucrose from sugar beets. Try not finding that on the back of a wrapper. Oh yeah, I almost forgot about that 70% of processed foods. There goes my life. We lead the world by our amount of GMO production. Why us? I watched a documentary called OMG GMO, and the narrator interviewed Jean Baptiste, the leader of an eye-opening peasant movement in Haiti. In the interview, he explained what the movement is, what they do, and what they're trying to do. It's huge. 10,000 Haitians protest against the earlier mentioned company Monsanto. Monsanto offered Haiti 475 tons of seeds, and the participants in the protest burned every single one of them. I was pretty shocked when I first heard this. I mean, they're a poor country, and they're still in remaining devastation from the 2010 7.0 earthquake, so they're only hurting themselves by doing this, right? Or are they? Baptiste even said that people like us would think that of the situation, but he said they do it because, quote, the objective of Monsanto is to make money. The objective of Monsanto is not to protect life. Monsanto's objective is not to protect the environment. Monsanto has been known to physically go to small farms, confiscate their seeds, and force them to use theirs. The Haitians still fought. I felt something more than passion in this protest. I mean, it was eye-opening considering that the U.S. is the biggest producer of GMO, and Haiti stands on the opposite side of us. Everyone who lives there knows what real safe food is because they make it for themselves, while us, on the other hand, have people who do that for us, who only care for the money. After interviewing passionate protesters in the Haiti movement, the documentary narrator goes back home to see the In-N-Out by his house with a huge line. I was really wondering if people on that line knew what they were putting into their body. I know you don't go to In-N-Out and say that you're going to have a healthy meal, and I'm not saying never go there again. I was literally there on Saturday. But I still think the people on that line were lacking knowledge that in the end could save their health. So why was it so different in Haiti compared to us? Well, here in the U.S., we're playing hide and seek with GMOs. It isn't required to label them here. It is, however, required in most countries around the world, including a majority in Europe, Asia, South America, and Africa. Hans Herren, the president of the Millennium Institute, stated that in Europe, if it's labeled GMOs, it's left on the shelf. That's why they don't want to label it. Our companies like Monsanto are taking advantage of our unawareness and using it to benefit their company. Bernie Sanders, former senator of Vermont, stated his experience with Monsanto threatening to sue the state after he tried to pass an act that required labeling. They also threatened to sue Connecticut and spent over $45 million opposing the California labeling law, Prop 37. There are also common people opposing these laws as well because of following the words of the FDA, who in 1992 declared that GMOs were safe. Their claim that they were safe were based on studies that were 3 months long at the most and not peer-reviewed by anyone. I knew this was skeptical, and my mom kept saying they were hiding stuff from us, and I thought she was crazy, until I looked up information about the staff of Monsanto alongside the FDA's. I was shocked to find the interchanging occupations of Michael Taylor, who in 1976 joined the staff of the FDA, then in 1980 became vice president of Monsanto. After a short term with them, he went back to the FDA, tried to convince them to use a policy that allows growth hormones on animals, back to Monsanto again, and once more back to the FDA, where he's still currently a deputy commissioner of foods. He is now a full-time representative of Monsanto after pushing the non-labeling acts of GMOs. There are also many other stories listed by Seattle Organic and shown here, but there are just too many. People are becoming aware of these stories and questioning what the FDA claims to be safe now. I was really amazed after hearing these because these people hold some of the highest positions in the FDA and used to fight that genetically modified chemicals are safe and the same as natural farming. When referring to these stories, it's called the dark history because they've tried to hide in the shadows for so long, but came out when the knowledge came that Monsanto was up to no good. It became a known fact that Monsanto was trying to hide the truth about GMOs from us. In the documentary mentioned earlier, OMG GMO, the narrator tried to have multiple phone interviews with Monsanto, calling as a concerned father, wanting to know if their products were safe for his children. All he got were multiple transferred calls and avoidance. They said they would call him back with information, but the calls never came. He then went to Monsanto, waited respectfully to speak to a representative, but as soon as he got face-to-face with someone and hit them with a question, he was asked to leave and led to the door. Very welcoming, right? So we're led in the direction that GMOs aren't good for us, but what are they doing to us? Well, there have been several animal studies done on animals, and the most popular and informative was done on rats conducted by Giles Eric Seralini. The rats were given their normal diet, then gradually introduced to genetically modified foods. The rats came out of the 24-month study with immense liver tumors and a sharp rate of growing livers and kidneys. If you ratio out the age of the rats during the study and compare it to the average lifespan of a human, health effects like this can begin happening to us at age 14. Very few oppositions came on this study, but the first one came by our friends Monsanto. And you want to know what they were mad about? The type of rat that was used, which is really funny because they use the same exact rat in the 3-month study. They just keep getting friendlier and friendlier. There are also other small studies conducted on small farms by the farmers. The farmers fed their cattle genetically modified food, such as corn, and health effects and death rates skyrocketed. Once taken off everything genetically modified, all the rates went back to normal. There was also a study done in Quebec at Sherbrooke University Hospital in 2013 that proved Monsanto's claim that the BT entered into a GMO would be broken down in the human digestive system wrong. The study showed that Bacillus thuringiensis, BT, inserted into a GMO, remains inside your body after the consumption of GMOs. Results came that 93% of pregnant women had the BT toxin remaining in their blood, as well as 80% of their umbilical babies. 67% of non-pregnant women also had the BT toxin remaining in their blood. It is a scare to some people that it will turn your intestines into a living pesticide factory. With the remnants of BT in your blood, gastrointestinal problems, autoimmune diseases, food allergies, and children learning disorders are products. After gaining the knowledge of GMOs, what they do to you and what they can do to you, is the first step of helping yourself and helping others understand. My experience had so many twists and turns in it, but with the help of my mom, brother, and research, it all pulled together and I know what I'm consuming. So once again, can I cut 100% of the GMOs out of my diet? Yes. It's tricky, but it's possible. From my experience, I gained understanding and wanted to change, so I did. By the way, I'm not saying never go to In-N-Out again. That was probably in this line, but the little changes I did, like cutting the majority of GMOs out of my diet, can make a huge difference. What I've hoped to have given you today is an understanding of what GMOs are and hopefully a strive to want them labeled so you have the choice in consumption of them. At the end of the day, knowledge is power, and if you have the knowledge, you have the power to say yes or no to genetically modified foods.